textiles. Textiles are a part of India's history, its past, present, and future. Indian textiles were found in the tombs of the Egyptian pharaohs. They were a sought after export to ancient Greece and Rome. They also became part of the fashionable attire of both European and Mughal courts, suppressing and replacing the Indian handloom cotton trade. With mill trade alternatives was a key factor of the British Industrial Revolution. That is the reason Gandhi made handspun khadi a symbol of the Indian independence movement. Even today, millions of craftspeople all over India produce extraordinary traditional textiles that appeal to the international market. Weaving a tradition. Satya sat at the big wooden loom, throwing the shuttle through the shining silk threads stretched on its frame. As he wove the wrap and wove together, the fabric that unfolded was a Kanjivaram silk sari, purple and red with gold tigers, elephants, and peacocks dancing together on its resplendent pallav. That thuk thuk sound of the shuttle as it moves to and fro had always been part of his life. His father and his father's father and his father's father's father had all woven sari on the same family loom, as had their forefathers as far back as memory could stretch. Satya was 17. He had learned to weave when he was 8. Though he longed to play football with the other village boys, new laws do not allow children below 14 years of age to work. But everyone in his village was involved in weaving. The woman spun the thread and stretched the wrap on the loom. The village dyers and washermen dyed the yarn in wonderful colors, stretch and size the finished fabric. Traders came to the village from all over India to buy the saris, while other traders from Surat bought the gold zari thread which with which they were worn. The village economy depended on women continuing to wear these traditional saris for wedding, festivals, and special occasions. Satya's father had a picture cut out from a magazine of a famous film star in on its one of his saris. Satya's grandfather was now too frail and blind to weave the intricate saris. He told Satya stories of the day many hundred years ago when South Indian weavers were one of the richest communities in India. The wealth built the huge temples and funded royal armies. Whole communities were known for weaving skills and their surnames proudly denoted their trade. Wankars in Gujarat, Ansari in UP, Mayors in Orissa, just as the Kuchi, Kuchi and Khatris were dyers and painters. Satya knows that these days even highly skilled weavers are desperately poor even though their sari are worn only by the very rich. Weavers depend on traders for loans in order to pay for the expensive silk and gold yarn from which the saris are worn. Machine Machine made saris made in the big industrial mills and cheap synthetic silk copies from China are taking over the market. Indian handcrafted textiles are unique today for their variety and beauty. This is a living craft practiced by millions of craftspeople, many in their teens and 20s. No other country in the world has weaving traditions that goes back thousands of years and is still part of mainstream economy. Satya and other young craftspeople like him make India special and proud. Yarn, thread, and fibers. In the story about Satya, you read about many aspects of weaving. You may come across terms like yarn, loom, and shuttle, wrap and weft, starching, sizing, traders, weavers, and others. Some of the fiber commonly used in textile weaving are cotton, silk, wool, mixture of the above, gold and silver thread, etc. So first one is cotton. It has been cultivated in India since the Harappan civilization. Raw cotton is a round, fluffy white ball growing on a bush about 3 feet height. Earth seed and other impurities are removed from the cotton balls by ginning. The loose fiber of cottons are collected and bowed with a bow made of canes and the string of the midrib of a banana leaf. The vibration of a string fluff and loosens the cotton. It spins on a charkha and or spinning wheel to the required thickness and texture and is ready for weaving. A variety of cotton fabrics were worn all over the country, ranging from coarse, strong gauze to the finest of mus- muslins that represent the highest achievement of the cotton weaving industry in India. Indian muslins were used as shrouds for royal Egyptian mummies and used as a garment to adorn Mughal emperors 3000 years later. Delicate muslin cottons were given poetic names like flowing flower, Abravan, evening dew, Shabnam, and woven air, Baftawa, by their court poets. Now they are commissioned by national and international designers. The thread is classified by its thickness. The thinner the thread, the higher the number of counts, and the finer the fabric. Its fineness and its absorption quality makes it an ideal fabric for the heat of the Indian summer. So the next fiber is silk. It is made from the cocoon of a cream colored moth which feeds on the leaves of the mulberry tree. The caterpillar of the silk moth spins an old cocoon for very fine silk, the size of the pigeon's egg. The silk is generally yellow but sometimes white. About 1600 silkworms produce nearly 500 grams of silk, and 1 hectare of land produces enough mulberry leaves to feed caterpillars that can produce 46 kgs of silk. It takes about 7 days for the cocoon to be fully spun around with silk. The cocoons are collected and sorted into different qualities and then boiled. The silk thread is reeled and twisted, dried and polished. It is then wound on a spindle and spun. The softness, the luster, the tensile quality of a silk make it one of the most prized material for weaving fabrics. Secret of silk. Some textile tradition came to us from other parts of world just as silk came to India from China. According to the legend, the Chinese had banned the exports of silkworms. However, they were smuggled into India by Chinese Buddhist monks in the hollow shafts of their cane walking sticks. Third fiber is mix of silk and cotton. Another glorious fabric is mushru. A lustrous wave from Gujarat pattern is in brilliant colored stripes or dots as fine as rice grains. Though it appears like silk, it is not really silk. Mushru and himru have a twisted weave with a silk underside to replicate the look and feel of a satin while technically remaining cotton. The next is tussar, eri, and moga. India is the only source of Tussar silk that came from Antheria assamia moth, which feeds on the leaves of som and wali trees. Tussar silk has a coarse, uneven texture and slightly yellowish brown color. Since it is less strong in texture and cannot be refined, it does not have the same sheen and fineness as a mulberry silk. Women, women weavers from women weavers of Assam make the traditional mekla chadar costumes with golden moga and airy silk, which come from worms that feed on ashoka and castor leaves rather than mulberry leaves. Wool. It is spun from the fleece of animal. Sheep wool is the most common, but in India, goat wool, camel wool, hair, and ibex hair is also used. In North India, the Angora rabbit is bred for its fine, long, very soft, and silky hair. Its warmth, tensile strength, and resistance to fire gives the wool its special quality. The fame of the Kashmiri Jamawar shawl can be gauged from the fact that the English word shawl is derived from the Persian shal, a length of a woven woolen fabric shawl weaving in Kashmir was introduced by ruler Zain ul Abidin in the 15th century, bringing in Turkestan weavers to teach the 12 tapestry technique to local weavers. As many as 50 colors were used on one shawl. The rough goat wool dhablas worn by shepherds and camels headers in Kutch and the Thar Desert have been reinvented into wonderful contemporary shawl, home furnishing, and throws. Today, designers are translating indigenous motifs and colors from tribal shawls of the northeast and Kashmir shawls of Himachal into softer and merino and sheep wool. The celebrated Kashmiri Shahtush ring shawl made from the fleece the, of the wild Himalayan ibex is so fine that a meter of a woolen shawl can pass through a man's singed ring. Production and sale is banned today for ecological reasons and to prevent extinction of ibex. Weaving is was weaving it was a fine art. Wearing it now a forbidden luxury. Textile techniques. Indian textile may be divided into two groups: loom decorated and post loom decorated fabrics. Loom decorated fabrics are provided with artistic treatment when on the loom. Post loom decorated fabrics are textiles in which artistic treatment is given after it is woven. In other words, plain textiles are decorated with the techniques such as dyeing, tie and dye, hand printing, embroidery, patchwork, and applique. Loom decorated fabrics. In different states of India, handloom weaving is done on a variety of looms such as throne shuttle loom, fly shuttle loom, loin loom, pit loom, jacquard. The art of weaving is governed by three movements: shading, picking, and beating. The shading movement consists of moving the treadle moving the treadle with the feet to make an alternative wrap threads open for the shuttle. The picking movement propels the shuttle to run across the other side. The beating movement consists of patting the weft thread into place. As the process is repeated, the weft thread passes from side to side over one set of wrap thread and under the other. These movements are repeated to produce the basic fabric. Textures are produced by weaving Textures are produced by varying the count of the wrap's threads and by weaving them tightly and loosely. Patterns can be produced with the introduction of the color wrap and wrap thread. Women, women in northeastern states weave bold black, red, and white cotton shawls with images of shields, swords, butterflies, snakes using a narrow loin loom, which they attach to their waist with straps. Block printing. Block printing, as it's practiced all over western and central India, is described below. Each design is printed with a series of different intric- intricately cut intricately cut wooden blocks. Carving the block Carving the blocks is itself an art. Duta, the block for the outline, good for the background, for one block for each of the other colors. Some designs have as many as 6 to 8 different colors. A block is dipped in a liquid color and pressed firmly on the specially treated cloth with a little bang, and the other hand to make it register evenly. Once the whole has been printed with one block, printing with the next block follows, and then the next block in the sequence. Printers have to be careful to place the little marker at the corner of the block to make sure it doesn't slip the and that each other fits into the design accurately. Distinctive designs and techniques like weaves and embroideries, block print designs and colors have the special stamp of the places from where they originate. Those from Sangarner in Rajasthan have designs that include delicate floral booties in a range of color. Farukabad from Uttar Pradesh has all over paisley jal. Bagh prints from Madhya Pradesh are in dramatic red and black. Dhamdaka of Kutch is famous for its double-sided ajrak, interlocked hexagonal motifs in shades of indigo, crimson and black, which requires 15 different processes to achieve. There are also numerous block printing techniques: direct resist, batik, discharge, khari chap. Khari chap is a gold and silver stamping. In many, in some, the dye is applied directly to the cloth. In other areas, are prevented from getting colored by the use of wax, mud, or chemicals. Each technique is distinctive. Indian embroidery. The explorer Marco Polo said in the 13th century about India, embroidery is here produced with the more delicacy. Embroidery is here produced with more delicacy than anywhere in the world. There are shawls from Kashmir that are magically two-sided with the same design embroidered in different colors on each side. This is known as Doruka. A single shawl may take over 2 years to complete. In Kutch, in western India, the women, whether Rabri, Ahri, Mochi, Meghawal, Darbar, or Jat, learn to embroider from a young age. There, they embroider their trousers, skirts, cholis, velis, quilts, decorative pieces for their homes. Most Kutchi embroideries use wonderful colors: magenta, emerald, green, yellow, purple, as bright as their desert landscape is black. Their embroideries are exuberant, with designs of flowers, peacocks, elephants, parrots. Each village and communities in Kutch has its own distinctive set of stitches and motifs. cross stitches, satin, and herringbone stitch, and a very fine chain stitch done with a hook. Shiny mirrors are stitched onto fabric. Punjab is famed for its traditional embroidery called fulkari, flowering work, using threads in brilliant colors like flaming pink, orange, mustard yellow, and cream. The reverse satin stitch is done on a brick red khadi cloth, an all-over embroidered shawl. Dupatta is called a bagh, literally resembling a garden of flowers. Sujni from Bihar is a form of quilted embroidery with mainly narrative themes. There are 22 different chikan stitches. Legend has it that Empress Nourjah invented chikan while making a cap for her husband Jahangir. Chikan work from Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh has many different stitches worked on cotton mull, creating a textured relief of flowers, paisley, and stars. The stitches have wonderful names: Ghas ki patti, as delicate as grass; Murri, which looks just like a grain of rice; and Keel, the tip of a nail. The bakia, most of most common are bakia, a herringbone stitch done on the reverse of the material so that the design appears like a shadow; tepchi, a linked running stitch; and panda, a tight round knot used to form flowers and leaves. Kantha embroidery from Bengal is of thousands of fine stitches, giving the fabric a puckered, quilted look. In Bangladesh and India, kantha was used to make quilts and coverlets. Old saris were folded together and embroidered with colored threads pulled from sari borders. Now, kantha embroiderers make saris and dupattas for the metro market. Patchwork and applique are other textile skills practiced by women over India. The range they range from the tiny geometric patchwork gota done in Rampur and Lucknow to the bold, vividly patterned pictorial quilts of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Each bride was expected to have at least a dozen. Pipli in Orissa has its own unique and applique bold red, yellow, and green dancing elephant and parrot outlined with white or black chain stitch on equally colored base fabric. It was developed initially to the Rath procession hanging for the Puri temple, but is now used for garden umbrellas, cushions, and for the other urban needs. The Lambani, Lambara, and Banjara gypsum tribal from Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka in South India create spectacular embroideries like kachis. They too wear wonderful skirts, backless blouses, and veils covered with vibrant, colorful minor designs, silver or metal coins, and ornaments at the edges. Their designs are geometric rather than naturalistic flower, birds, and animals. Kausti of North Karnataka is a combination of four different stitches done on the borders of pallu and blouse of the blue, black, indigo dyed Chandrakala sari, an essential part of the trousers of a Hindu bride of the region. The motifs are pictorial in character. The Tulsi plant, temple chariots, eight-pointed star, parrots, peacocks, bridal cradles, and flower trees. Here they have given some facts. First one, the color is the first thing one notices about India, as Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay has said, every color has its tradition, emotion, social context, and rich significance. Red, the color of marriage and love. Orange and saffron, the color of earth and the yogi who renounces that earth. Yellow, the color of spring, young mango blossoms, of swan, of bees, and of mating birds. Blue, the color of indigo, also the color of Krishna, the cowherd child god. Even the great gods had their colors. Brahma was red, Shiva was white, Vishnu was blue. The Vishnudhar Mottara speaks of five white tones: ivory, jasmine, the August moon, August clouds, after rain, and mother of pearl. It is not surprising that the 17th century William Moorcroft could list over 300 color shades in use among the shawls makers of Kashmir. As early as the 1st century before Christ, travelers along the Silk Route recorded fabrics in 7 shades of brown, 4 shades of blue, and 4 shades of green. In India, colors were made of vegetable and minerals materials, pomegranate, lac, and madder for the pinks, red and brown, black from iron casting, myrobarum petals for yellow. Color was produced from the most unlikely sources like onion skins, produced a beautiful reddish brown, pistachio shells, green, growing lacquer red came from the humble beetles. The concentrated urine of cows fed on mango leaves gave a rich orange yellow color. There is a story of British Raj billiard table base, cloth used for billiard tables, which was stolen from the regimental mess to extract just that exact green required in Jamwar shawl. As always, colors, even those derived from mineral sources, silicates or borates of different metal salts, cobalt oxide, potassium chromate, and manganese carbonate, were poetic names. Ab a layer, ripples of water, tote ka par, parrot swing, खून ए kaptur, pigeon's blood, खून ए kabutar, pigeon's blood. Home and the market. In India, commercially, embroidery made for the market was always done by men. Even chikan work was traditionally a male pursuit, with women only doing the coarser filling details. The intricate gold wire sequin work of Uttar Pradesh, done on a staged wooden frame, and Kashmiri wool crivel work, tilla, and sonzani embroidery are still almost exclusively a male domain. Sosni, with its intricate detail on flora and fauna, derives its inspiration from the verdant flowering beauty of the Kashmir Valley. Tilla work is now a major business of wedding costumes, movie costumes, and the fashion ramp, and it reflects the glory of Mughal court that brought gold wire work from the Middle East and Byzantium. Today, rural women embroiderers are finding new empowerment and earning an income from the embroidery skills in the market all over India, be it Bihar or Banaskantha. Women now embroider are for living.